for a few moments. They were clinically dead. What they saw during that time is something science still can't fully explain. Have you ever stopped to think about what truly happens at the exact moment life comes to an end? We're not talking about faith, religion, or spiritual beliefs, but about real accounts from people who stood, even if briefly, at the edge between life and death. Ordinary individuals who claim they saw things that defy explanation, felt sensations beyond words, and returned to tell what they witnessed. For some, the experience was calm and comforting. For others, deeply unsettling, powerful enough to shatter everything they believed about reality. Throughout history, near-death experiences have always sparked fascination and debate. Descriptions of glowing tunnels, encounters with unknown beings, gentle voices, and an overwhelming sense of peace appear in reports from different cultures and eras. To many, these moments suggest that something exists beyond physical death. To others, they are intense neurological reactions, the brain's last effort to survive during extreme conditions. In recent years, science has begun to examine these experiences more seriously. In a recent study, 48 individuals who reported near-death experiences, known as NDEs, were interviewed in depth. All of them had faced critical situations, such as cardiac arrest or respiratory failure. What they described caught researchers' attention. No two experiences were exactly the same. Even when two people claimed to have seen religious figures like God, Jesus, or angels, their descriptions never fully matched. Each account appeared to be shaped by the person's mind, background, and personal references. One participant described the sensation of becoming light and seeing a figure beside them, seemingly ready to guide the way forward. Another spoke of an intense force moving through their body, accompanied by a strange urge to move, and at the same time, a feeling that they shouldn't. Someone else described an angel-like being in remarkable detail, with perfectly aligned white wings and a face so symmetrical it resembled a classical statue. Every word carried deep emotion, as if the experience had been undeniably real. Researchers noticed that many of these accounts reflected each person's cultural and spiritual background. One participant, for example, didn't report seeing any Christian figures. Instead, they described hearing men reading from the Torah, something closely tied to their religious upbringing. But not all NDEs involved spiritual imagery. Many focused on intense visual and sensory experiences. One individual described being inside a completely dark, organic-looking tunnel with iridescent reflections. Another said they were at the center of an immense sphere of light with no visible boundaries, feeling as though they were part of it, and described it as the most beautiful thing they had ever seen. Some reported encounters with deceased relatives. Others described phenomena that were difficult to put into words. One man said he saw what looked like a black hole, deep, dark, and seemingly infinite. Another spoke of a vast matrix filled with countless points connected across multiple dimensions. To better understand these reports, researchers categorized the experiences based on the type of visual space perceived. The first pattern, known as Form A, resembles a narrow cone, the classic tunnel of light so often described. This occurs when reduced blood flow to the brain affects peripheral vision, creating a funnel-like visual field. Next come Forms B and C, associated with elliptical or arched visual regions, when parts of the visual field temporarily disappear. Finally, there is Form C5, a complete 360-degree closure, as if the person were immersed in an infinite, borderless space. Many participants reported experiencing this progression, from a narrow tunnel to total immersion in light. This suggests that despite cultural and personal differences, a common physical mechanism may be occurring in the brain during near-death experiences. The study's lead author, Franz Lerner of the Beijing Institute of Mathematical Sciences and Applications, explained that these phenomena occur when there is a breakdown in coherence between visual information and the physical signals that keep consciousness anchored to the body. In simple terms, the brain begins to lose its usual connection to reality, causing perception to shift dramatically. The researchers emphasize that these findings do not prove the existence of a soul separate from the body. Still, they help explain why so many people describe such vivid, intense, and emotionally powerful experiences when facing death. Yet the mystery remains. For those who have lived through an NDE, it rarely feels like just a neurological event. Many say their lives were never the same afterward. Some report losing their fear of death. Others develop an entirely new perspective on existence. And some return with more questions than answers, carrying something they can't fully explain. This tension between scientific explanation and personal experience is what makes near-death experiences one of the most intriguing phenomena of our time. On one side, laboratories work to understand what happens inside the brain during critical moments. On the other, human stories continue to suggest that there may be aspects of reality we still cannot measure or define. Interestingly, similar stories appear throughout ancient history. Early civilizations spoke of warriors and elders who crossed a veil, saw radiant lights, or entered another realm before returning to life. Today, we have advanced technology, brain imaging, and rigorous scientific studies, yet the question remains the same: what lies beyond death? Near-death experiences don't provide a definitive answer, but they reveal that the boundary between life and whatever may come next is far more complex than it seems. They show how human perception changes when the brain is pushed to its limits, and how deeply transformative these experiences are for those who live through them. Perhaps there will never be a single explanation that satisfies everyone. Perhaps science and spirituality will continue to walk side by side, attempting to decode a mystery that lies at the heart of the human experience. Because in the end, this is a journey we will all take one day. And when that moment arrives, each person may witness something unique, as singular as their own existence.